And talking about democracy, here's someone who claims to champion it, French President Emmanuel Macron. This coming year is make or break for him. Two things can happen. One, he ends up as the emperor of Europe, or two, he ends up out of office in France. Truly make or break. His first challenge is in Brussels. On the 1st of January, France will take over the presidency of the European Union. It's a 6-month job, and Emmanuel Macron has big plans. His motto is recovery, power, and belonging. That second one is very interesting, power. The last time Europe chased power, the world suffered. We had colonialism, we had 2 world wars. So how does President Macron define European power? Here's what he said on Thursday.
If I had to sum up in one sentence the objective of this presidency, which will run from January 1st to June 30th, I would say that we must move from a Europe of cooperation within our borders to a powerful Europe in the world, fully sovereign, free to make its own choices and master of its own destiny. And that is the objective we must pursue.
A master of its own destiny. Is that a message to Washington, D.C.? It could be. Macron has always argued for an assertive Europe, a Europe that thinks for itself instead of blindly following America. Just look at his foreign policy. Macron has refused to boycott the Beijing Winter Olympics. He says it is insignificant and symbolic. And frankly, he's got a point. A diplomatic boycott is a half measure, as we've been saying for days. But it's a start nonetheless. France's closest allies have all joined the boycott. The US, Britain, Australia, Canada and New Zealand. So why is Macron unwilling? I can think of 2 reasons. One, pay back for the AUKUS deal. You betrayed us, so here's a taste of your own medicine. And reason number 2, France is not interested in a Cold War. It doesn't want to pick between China and America. This is just one example of Emmanuel Macron trying to be his own man. I can give you more. Last week, he was in Saudi Arabia, the first major Western leader to visit the kingdom after Jamal Khashoggi's killing. What was he doing in Riyadh? Discussing Lebanon. France and Saudi Arabia have pledged to resolve the crisis in Lebanon. It's one of Macron's pet projects. You may remember some pictures from last year. 2 days after the Beirut port blast, Macron visited the city. He walked through the debris. He met with the people. It was a dress rehearsal for his dream job. Not president of France, but the leader of Europe. His other pet project is Africa. It's a mix of hard power and outreach, you could say. Macron has increased aid. He has returned stolen cultural artifacts. And this year, he sought forgiveness for France's role in the Rwanda genocide. That is the outreach part. He's also deployed 5,000 French troops in Western Africa. Their mission is to eliminate Islamist insurgency. Next year, President Macron plans to expand this relationship. He's proposing a summit between the European Union and the African Union. The plan is quite clear. If Africa is the next geopolitical playground, Macron wants Europe to take the lead. It's a shrewd but problematic plan. Because don't forget, Africa was plundered by European colonialism. So their governments will be wary of Macron's designs. Which brings us to his plans for Europe. What exactly are they? For starters, Emmanuel Macron wants a European army. Listen to what he said in 2017, I'm quoting, "We have to protect ourselves with respect to China, Russia, and even the United States. We will not protect Europeans unless we decide to have a true European army." This sums up Macron's plans. He wants to turn the EU from a bloc into a pseudo-nation state. Its own foreign policy, its own border policy, and its own defense mechanism. The question is, can he do it? You could argue that this is the perfect time. Angela Merkel has stepped down as Germany's chancellor. There's a power vacuum in Europe. If he wants, Macron could fill that vacuum. But his big challenge is domestic politics. You see, France goes to polls in April 2022, bang in the middle of the EU presidency. So Macron will be busy traveling, making speeches. How much time can he devote to Brussels? Plus, will he be re-elected? That's a big question. Right-wing candidates are surging in France. In fact, one survey showed Macron losing this election, and if that happens, his European dream would be dashed. There's no denying that Macron is charting his own path in geopolitics. He's investing in Africa, he's selling weapons and fighter jets in the Gulf, he's wading into the Indo-Pacific, and he's doing most of this against US orders or wishes. Emmanuel Macron wants to put Europe at the center of the world again. The question is, after centuries of war and plunder, after stepping out from a once-in-a-century pandemic, does Europe have the appetite to lead? WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.